Although he did agree to speak with us on a few occasions, he was not receptive to our efforts to refer him to mental health services.
Now at 6, we're learning more about the man who drove into the Multnomah Athletic Club with explosives in the car. Details on his history with Portland's police behavioral health unit coming up. Plus,
months after weeks-long protests and the deployment of federal agents at Portland's ICE facility, controversy over the building continues, this time around a land use permit. We'll have the latest. Plus,
guys, there's literally a guy that's like flying, but that's not even the most impressive part. He has a dog on his jet ski. What in the world is going on?
Okay, we have more on this crazy scene out of Florida of a man pulling a dog on a jet ski while riding on a hoverboard. That's coming up as your news at Sunrise starts right now. Good morning, and thank you for joining us on your Tuesday. I'm China Green.
and I'm Matthew Herchick. Certainly a Florida man story there.
Yeah. I have so many questions. There's so much to unpack there. I'm excited for that.
At least this one's like somewhat positive, I suppose.
The dog looks surprisingly chill.
Yeah, he does.
With all
Very
the commotion.
calm.
Maybe he was terrified.
Yeah.
All right, we have a nice, easy forecast this morning. Morning clouds, afternoon sun, rinse, wash, and repeat. We're going to do that today, tomorrow, and probably Thursday as well. So we've taken the edge off the high heat from the weekend, and now we're into some really, really comfortable stuff. It's cloudy right now at the airport. 55 degrees last check at PDX. We go above the clouds. This is a cool shot from our camera on the south side of Timberline Lodge. It's actually on the Day Lodge at Y East. You can see Mount Jefferson off in the distance and the waning gibbous moon there. This is the top of the marine layer, which has worked its way into the Cascades. So again, it's everywhere in the valley this morning. 55 right now in Beaverton, 54 in Salem. The plan for today, as mentioned, fairly cloudy for the first part of the day, and then those clouds will start to thin late morning or early afternoon. The earlier they burn off, the warmer we get. The point is somewhere in the mid-70s appears to be a pretty good range for high temperatures today. I think we'll do the same on Wednesday and Thursday as well. And then we'll get a look at your Mother's Day weekend forecast, which looks pretty good, coming up in just a few minutes. Let's get you out the door. The morning drive actually off to a pretty good start as well, as in no major unexpected delays. There's the live look near the Twilliger curves. Northbound I-5 traffic zipping along just fine there. Highway 26 out near the Sylvan Hill looks good as well. The traffic map all green this morning. A reminder, Northeast Lombard reopened after that weekend closure, but now you're down to just one lane, both directions near 42nd Avenue, and that will be the case for the duration of that 42nd Avenue Bridge replacement project. So guys, expect some delays there as the drive gets a little bit busier. Back to you.
Thank you, Chris. This morning, we're learning new details about the deadly crash into Portland's Multnomah Athletic Club, one that authorities say appears to be a clear attempt to try to cause as much damage as possible. Police say 20 propane tanks and 10 homemade bombs, some of which detonated, were found in and around the suspect's vehicle. And investigators and Bruce Whitman's family are shedding new light about the driver who was killed Saturday morning in that rampage.
An officer-clinician duo first responded to concerns from Whitman's neighbors 5 years ago. Alma McCarty talked with police and prosecutors and has those details.
In 2021, neighbors reported Bruce Whitman to police, accusing him of violent outbursts and threats.
Bruce Whitman was on our radar. He was referred back in 2021.
But despite that referral, Whitman would continue to struggle, interacting with law enforcement several times over the next several years.
Although he did agree to speak with us on a few occasions, he was not receptive to our efforts to refer him to mental health services.
Whitman worked at the Multnomah Athletic Club from 2012 until he was fired in 2019. By 2022, court records show Whitman had been threatening members of the club at their homes and outside of the club. Sergeant Josh Silverman with PPB's Behavioral Health Unit says that's when Whitman's behavior met the threshold for a peace officer hold and an extreme risk protection order. He was held in mental health treatment for 2 weeks. A firearm was taken away for for a year.
I'll say that there's a gap in the law here where unless someone commits a crime, my office has very limited ability or tools to be involved. The civil commitment process really only gives us just a short window to hold someone, to have them seek medical treatment.
Whitman was hospitalized this February after he attempted suicide. Court documents show this time he gave up 2 guns to police. Months later, investigators say he crashed an explosives-filled car into the ground floor of the MAC before 3 a.m. Saturday.
This gentleman was sophisticated, he was intelligent, and it is simply luck that we didn't have a much larger blast.
Inside the vehicle, first responders found 20 propane tanks and about 10 improvised explosive devices. Some of those did detonate. Sergeant Jim Dufresne says had things gone differently, the explosion could have easily resulted in a blast 5 times larger.
Everything we know now, we knew nothing. So the firefighters began to pull the propane tanks out, and one of the firefighters opened up a door and a partially detonated pipe bomb fell at his feet. And so it is just luck sometimes. And what we had that kept some of these folks from getting hurt or a much bigger tragedy is simply luck.
None of the propane tanks in the car exploded, according to police. The damage from the crash and fire that followed was contained to the ground floor and the building. MAC plans to stay closed for at least another week.
Bruce Whitman's family, meanwhile, says he suffered from bipolar disorder, dealt with paranoia, and was even worried he was being stalked by his former employer. KGW Celine Stevens spoke with his cousin over the phone.
The fact that he ended his own life was not shocking. It was surprising that he did something so big.
It also turns out we interviewed Whitman for a story back in 2015. That's when he released 2 chickens dyed pink on Portland's waterfront. At the time, Whitman said that it was to make people smile. His family says that he was also a giving person who had a food library outside his North Portland home.
He was a kind, caring, compassionate person, and that was all eclipsed by his mental health.
His cousin believes Whitman chose to drive into the building at 3 in the morning so that fewer people could get hurt. And a reminder, if you or someone you know is struggling, help is always available. You can call or text the National Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. That number is 988.
Well, deputies have identified the man who died while doing maintenance on a chairlift at Mount Hood Ski Bowl. The Clackamas County Sheriff's Office says 29-year-old Gregory Hunter of Government Camp died Thursday morning when a maintenance basket he was working in plummeted to the ground. An online memorial page describes Hunter as full of adventures, someone who loved all kinds of outdoors activities, from rock climbing to white water rafting. OSHA says it plans to open a workplace death investigation. Another employee also in basket was hurt but survived.
A man charged with shooting and killing a 26-year-old woman outside of a Southeast Portland party in 2023 will serve more than 2 decades in prison. 34-year-old William Watson pleaded guilty to manslaughter Monday morning. Now in court, he said he was trying to defend himself from someone else when he shot Callie Bolden.
I was firing at him. I never even saw her in my line of view. One, I would never kill an innocent woman.
Bolden was the youngest of 5 sisters and had 3 children of her own at the time of her death. Watson was sentenced to 22 years in prison.
This morning, protesters are expected to push city officials to uphold a land use violation issued against the ICE facility owner.
Yeah, it comes as the city's expected to hear an appeal by the landlord of the property. Sunrise reporter Thomas Schultz is live from downtown Portland this morning with more details. Thomas.
Hey, good morning, guys. And yeah, this has been a controversial topic for months after this last fall. We saw protesters commonly outside the ICE facility and federal agents deployed there as well. Now today, protesters here in downtown Portland plan to demand the land use violation at the ICE facility is upheld and the permit for the building revoked. Portland first issued a violation in September, in part due to public complaints detainees were being kept at the facility for more than 12 hours. That violates the original 2011 land use review that allows ICE to operate the facility. Tenants of apartments around the ICE building have also complained of exposure to tear gas munitions, which have been used by federal agents on protesters. Some tenants say they've had repeated difficulty breathing. PTSD, and panic attacks. The landlord of the ICE facility previously asked for a review of the land use violation, leading to this appeal today. Another interesting note here, for months, protesters have pushed the city council to revoke the land use permit from the ICE facility. That's something that city councilors have said they don't have the ability to do, though the city council has adopted an ordinance that would fine detention facilities that disrupt their neighborhood. Matthew, China.
Our Thomas Schultz reporting live. Thank you, Thomas.
Guys, there's literally a guy that's like flying, but that's not even the most impressive part. He has a dog on his jet ski. What in the world is going on? Bro,
what
is
in the world is going on is a pretty accurate response to this scene in Florida. A man caught a dog living his best life on a jet ski as a man on a water jet hoverboard pulls him along. Now, I want to know, like, who's steering? Like, has he taught the dog how to steer that thing? I'm just so confused. I'm so happy for him because he looks so happy, but
I think the man is steering.
Dictating like where they're going?
Yeah, but I don't understand the purpose.
They both get happiness out of it.
They got us talking about it, so, you know, they got that going for them, which is nice.
Both they got some joy. I was like, well, maybe he was trying to move, I don't know.
Man gets to hoverboard, dog gets to do whatever that was.
Yeah, but you could just like bring the dog out on a paddleboard. Like that seems way easier
fun.
and way safer than
fun.
dragging him on a jet ski.
He's got 10 million likes on YouTube.
Yeah, there's that.
All right, let's go ahead and get you out the door. We are cloudy this morning as expected. West of the Cascades, solid cloud cover right now over Salem. It's 54 degrees there. The Rose City Sky Camera once again showing solid cloud cover as well, kind of kissing the tops of the West Hills. So the cloud deck is as low as like 900 feet or so. 55 last check at PDX. We've got clouds at the beach as well, 54 in Seaside. So the beach forecast today, clouds in the morning. There will be some afternoon clearing, enough that Astoria probably gets up to about 60 degrees or so. The Columbia River Gorge, east side will be sunny. It's sunny this morning in the Dalles. The west side, they'll have a little bit of scattered cloud cover from like Cascade Locks west towards Troutdale and Corbett. Otherwise, good looking day with mild light breezes in the gorge. East side of the state, sunny and warm. LeGrand gets up to about 74, Burns 75. The Willamette Valley looking a little bit like this morning with a low cloud deck. Salem eventually clears and gets up to about 71, as does McMinnville. Southwest Washington, you may actually clear a little earlier, and with that, Vancouver Battleground may be a bit warmer than Salem and Albany with highs in the mid-70s. Meet Max, Spot, and Darian. 2 goats and a donkey. Those are today's pets of the day. Thank you, Craig Randall, for sharing your barnyard with us. Pet of the day, all one word, at KGW.com is the email address to give your pet a proper shout out. And without further ado, here's your 7-day forecast. Rinse, wash, and repeat on Wednesday and Thursday. There's a chance of a few sprinkles on Friday. Whatever we get out of that system, really, really light. And then, guys, as we've been mentioning, a really nice Mother's Day weekend ahead. Back to you.